Hello, it's Miss Richardson. We are going to be working on Arrays Lesson 1 today. You worked with Miss Hahn last week on repeated addition and equal groups. Now we're going to connect those repeated addition sentences that you created in equal groups, and we're going to move them into arrays. Here is an example of an array, and here is an example of a repeated addition sentence. And this is our standard that we're going to be working on today or for the rest of the week. And if you want to get fancy with it, you can share that with your family, but you're going to use addition to find the total number of objects arranged in rectangular arrays with up to 5 rows and up to 5 columns. And you're going to be able to write an equation to express the total as a sum of equal items. Lots of fancy words. So let's find out what all those fancy words really mean. So this is our vocabulary page. We're just going to hit on a couple of the words and talk about what they mean. So an array is just basically an arrangement of objects or pictures and numbers and columns and rows. And a rectangular array is a group of objects that are arranged in equal rows and columns. And if you want to we're going to go into the main part. Columns and rows. So the columns are the vertical parts of the array. So they're going to be going up and down. Okay, so we have 3 of those. 1, 2, 3 columns. And then our rows are the horizontal parts of an array. So they go across. So we have 1, 2 rows. So an array is made of horizontal rows and vertical columns. So I have a trick to help you remember what rows and columns are and how they are aligned on the next page. We'll move Ms. Richardson over here in the corner. So you can see below we have a picture of ducks walking in a row. So this is how I remember the rows. The ducks walk in a row. And here is an example of the columns. They go up and down. They're tall, up and down. I think that if you can imagine your own visualization or picture of rows and columns, that might help you too. I know that there are lots of columns here in Wilmington. For example, at UNC Wilmington, there's a lot of columns in front of the buildings. So that's how I remember through visuals. So you can remember the ducks walk in a row and the columns go up and down. And let's get into the basics of arrays. So using rows and columns of arrays is more efficient, or we call it easier, way to count a model of repeated addition. So counting items in arrays is a form of skip counting as well. So let's take a look at the basics. So here are our rows. They go across like this. And these are our columns, and they go up and down. Well, up and down. And now we're going to look at our first equation. So using the rows and columns, you can create equations with repeated addition. For example, how many rows? We have 2 rows. How many smiley faces do we have in each of the rows? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 smiley faces in each row. So our equation is going to be 4 plus 4 is equal to 8. And we can use our double stacks to remember 4 plus 4 is 8. Over here, I just have the example written out for you for reference. And then I also put in this equation, 4 is the add-in, which is the number that you add together, and you add it 2 times, and your sum is 8. Now, did you know that you can create another addition sentence or equation with this particular array? Let's find out what that is. So using the columns and rows, you can create equations using repeated addition again. And at this time, we're going to be looking at the columns. So how many smiley faces do we have in each of those columns? We have 1, 2. So I would put 2 here, a 2 here, a 2 here, and a 2 here. How many 2's do I have? How many times am I going to need to add 2? So there are 2 smiley faces in each column. So my number sentence or equation is going to be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, which is equal to 8. So our equation, you have to add 2 how many times? 4. That's right, 4 times. We could, if we remember, skip count by 2's. You want to do it with me? 2, 4, 6, 8. And your answer is 8. And it's the same answer that we got on the previous page, but they're 2 different equations. And let's go to the last slide and look at our summary. So arrays are basically a way to add using rows and columns that make it easier to count a model using repeated addition. So we're going to look back at our first equation, and we looked at how many smiley faces were in each row. And we counted 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we decided 4 plus 4 is equal to 8. And then in our second example, we looked at all the columns. And we figured out that there are 2 smiley faces in each column. So we have a 2 here, 2 here, here, and here. And then we add the smiley faces. So 2 smiley faces in each column. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is equal to 8. And we can skip count as well. 2, 4, 6, 8. Well, that sums it up for arrays today. We'll be working on those throughout the entire week. Feel free to reach out to your teachers if you have any questions. And then the following week, we're going to combine all this together and we're going to start working on multiplication.